And you'd see what looked like 18-year-old women with huge black circles around their eyes. They're saying, you know, for prostitution with drool running down their face, and then big new Escalades and the pimps and the drug dealers. And I had an off-duty LA cop with us that was our security. And he said, yeah, we're not allowed to go in here and bust them. We'll be fired if we do. And the people just throw the food and chicken bones out in the street. There's maggots everywhere, piles of feces, and then all these disabled people in wheelchairs and they're, you know, paralyzed from the stomach down, and they're trying to live there. And then coming out of a tent, I turn around and I see this. I could tell it was Indian or Hispanic or what he was, but he had gray skin, and he was wearing a skirt, and he had a bra on, and there was another transvestite behind him, and he looked like a skeleton, and he had rot holes all in his arms. You could see veins and rot holes in his stomach, and you could see his spine. Probably weighed 75 pounds, 80 pounds. And he had like one tooth and slobber coming out. And they're like, oh, look out. I turn around, he's like, yeah. He said, you know, I'll perform fellatio on you. I'll fuck you. And you can smell it. And I start vomiting, and then I just say, the shoot's over, and I start running. I actually met my match. I had a panic attack. Urine everywhere, stench, mites, just trash everywhere. And the demonic look in that creature's eyes, which I'm sure is dead now, and the big fat tranny behind him with his penis hanging out. Because imagine they're like, hey, look out. I'm sitting there interviewing some old man in a wheelchair. Well, how long have you been out here? I've been out here 5 years. It's terrible. But my girlfriend's in there. She's paralyzed too, but we don't use drugs, but it's hell out here. And I was like, look out. And you just go, oh, and you look. I only looked for like 2. I was just like, what the hell is this? The stomach on the guy looked like melted gray candle wax. And I remember only like 2 seconds scanning it going. And I was like, this is more horrifying than any movie I've ever seen, any horror. And the stench. And what was clearly semen all over his face. They just crawled out of a tent where this big fat man dressed as a woman had just had sex with a dying, reanimated corpse. Zombie sex. And that's what it said. It was just as I turned, it was like, I'm not going to repeat it on air, but it was like, I'll suck your, and F-U-C-K me. As I'm turning, and the stench, and it's like, have sex with me. He didn't want to eat my brains. It was, you know. It's the most horrifying thing I've ever seen in my life. And it's off limits to the police. And I began to run. I began to vomit. And it was embarrassing because I had the cop with me and my security. And I said, I need to pull over at a gas station. And I went in the bathroom and I started crying and throwing up again. For the sorrow for humanity. And I said, go to the liquor store. And I got a whole bottle of vodka. And I drank it in like 10 minutes, and I passed out in the back of the car. We're so screwed, man. This is pure Satan, folks. Pure Satan. Pure. The smell of dead flesh. A literal skeleton with the skin dripping off of it that some fat sex tourist had come there to have sex with.